Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Today's pick a card reading, we're going to be looking at what's coming up for you in May 2022. I would note that if you come across this sometime after that and you feel drawn to watch the reading, then probably presume it's the following month rather than May, because I think that the Spirit would be directing you to get those messages for a different time if that's the case. But I imagine the majority of you will watch it in this time period leading up to May 2022 or early in May 2022 because of the title. So that's what I'm focusing on for this point. I'll be looking at your life for that month across 4 different sort of areas: your love and relationships, your career and finance, your general well-being, and your spiritual development and well-being. And we will start with looking at that with particular decks, which I'll go into, that are part of the choice for you of which pile to go to. Then we'll have oracle cards, which are also intuitively shuffled and dealt out for that portion of the reading. Then I'm going to use a particular tarot deck across all the readings to synthesize it and bring it together with a couple of other oracles at the end for any last messages from Spirit. So that's the way the structure of the reading will go. As always, I'm going to put down the numbers for those that like to just look at the numbers and decide on that basis which reading to go to. By all means, go to more than one if you wish. That's perfectly fine. You may find that there are different messages in one for career and finance, and another might have love and relationships, for instance. Now, before I go through what each of the tarot decks are and lead you through that part of the choice, I do want to just note that private readings are now available. If people would like a private reading from me, you can get it through my Etsy store. So the details are in the description box below. And it's called Serpent Tarot, if for any reason the link doesn't work. So that's the one place that you can get readings from me. So just as I always say when I note this, I do understand that scammers sometimes pop up and pretend to be tarot readers, and they try to solicit readings, on various social media platforms and so forth. I will never solicit a reading from you, so know that it is not me if that happens. And if you don't mind, if somebody does try that with you, if you could let me know, I'd very much appreciate it. But beyond that, I just want to make sure that you're not scammed. So the only way to get the reading is to come via the Etsy store. I'm not going to come to you and offer you readings. And there's no expectation anybody does this. It's just there if you want a reading. Don't feel any pressure or any expectation on my part. Okay, so moving to the pile choice. I'm using a different tarot deck for each of these piles. And as I say, one unifying tarot deck across all of them at a particular portion of the reading. So for pile number 1, I'm using the Rainbow Tarot. For pile number 2, the Crystal and Chakra Tarot. For pile number 3, the World of Visions Tarot, and for pile number 4, the White Fly Tarot. So you may find yourself drawn. I've chosen the Wheel of Fortune in each just because I'm looking at, what's the fortune going to be like in the next month. It seemed to be a good sort of card to represent the nature of this sort of reading and the general nature of this sort of reading. So if you're drawn to a particular tarot deck, that may take you to the right reading. If you're drawn to a couple, it may take you to a couple. You may choose by numbers, whatever works for you. As always, the timestamps are in the description box below. And when you know which reading you want to go to, I will see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So this is love and relationships, this is career and finance, this is general well-being, and this is spiritual development and well-being. And the first thing I would say, looking at these cards, is that I think this is a month of a lot of choice for you and a lot of rejigging your life to be more what you want it to be, rather than maybe what expectations you felt others had on you, or maybe you'd felt a little bit sort of limited, I think, in some way. Or it just feels to me like in every area there's a sort of a sense of like reconsidering, rejigging energy, and then sort of moving forward. Ultimately, it's positive, but there's just some choices and decisions that are important in each area. So why I say that? Here in love and relationships, we start with the 5 of Daggers, which is like the 5 of Swords. That suggests to me that you're coming out of a period of time in one or more relationships. It doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be a family relationship. It could be a friendship, where there has been some dispute or where there has been some difference of opinion that you've needed to sort through. I do feel with whatever this relationship is, it's very solid. It's a good relationship overall if it's one that exists, because with the Chancellor of Crystals, which is like the King of Pentacles, there's a real sense of sort of like loyalty and commitment and, you know, something of some long standing. But for some reason, it looks like you've had to be very careful what you would say or do around this person for some reason. With the Seven of Wands reversed, that's sort of like feeling not having quite the courage to go out and either finalize the discussion and the debate, or even to really say what you're thinking or feeling. So depending upon who's come to this reading, this could be suggesting that there is someone that you have a romantic interest in, but it's sort of been an interesting sort of connection where it's just as much an attraction based on kind of like debate and kind of difference, which makes you a little bit worried about whether you could connect more generally, or there's other sort of debate or issues, or people question whether you should be around this person or so forth, that because there's just a sense that there is something very good here, but there is a reluctance to take it to the next level. So if this is about romance, it feels like that. If you are already in an established relationship, then maybe there's just something that isn't spoken at the moment. It will be interesting to see what we get around the oracle cards, because I just feel like you will eventually see in this month that this is a very solid connection, whatever relationship is really being highlighted here. And there is a possibility to work it through. But I feel like this person is either kind of oblivious to the issue that you're dealing with. You can see how he's sort of looking away. Or it could be potentially, if it's around family or something, it could be a parental influence or something like that, who has a fixed view about things, and you really want to do something differently, and they're not necessarily seeing, they're not even understanding that's the case. So it does depend. And if it is someone that you're interested in, you may feel, oh, I don't think they're interested, again, because they seem to be looking away. But there's something very slow moving and careful and solid and committed about this person. So I think what it would be saying is, if you're interested in someone, they're not the sort of person who'd be cruel, I've got to say. You're worried a bit about that. You're worried a bit about, you know, whether you would be rejected or rebuffed potentially if this is someone that you're interested in. But that's not who they are, really. They will either be interested, and if they are, they're kind of a bit slow to show it. So if you're feeling a bit nervous, just sort of work on a friendship, because a friendship will be a solid basis for this sort of person. But if they're not interested, I think they're going to be okay about, like, they're not going to be cruel, as I say. So it's sort of, you are making some decisions about what you say to others in one or more areas of your relationship life in May 2022. So that's the energy there. Similarly over here with career and finance, there's a real wish for freedom and to do what really matters to you. But I feel like you're in an environment, whether it's a job or whether you're looking for a job and it's hard to sort of find the right fit, or whether it's sort of like looking at your finances and trying to sort of work out how you could best use them, where with the Chancellor of Daggers, which is like the King of Swords reversed, and the Page of Cups reversed, you're not necessarily pursuing or feeling like you can pursue what's really true to your heart and what you really want to do. It feels a lot like someone who's in a job that, you know, probably pays the bills, maybe has a career trajectory, all those sort of things, but you're increasingly feeling that it's not in touch with what your heart is and what you want to do. And there's a real urge for freedom on some level. It may be because there's someone quite critical or maybe not ethical around your business or work environment with the Chancellor of Daggers reversed. But this could equally just be that there is a mismatch between what you feel in your heart and your ethics and what you really want to do with your life and what you're doing with your life. So there's an urge towards freedom, but I feel like you won't necessarily make this particular decision in this month. We'll see what the oracle cards show. I think it's just that you're starting to feel a kind of irritant beneath the skin about, am I really in the right place, or am I looking for the right job? Like where's the match of values and what I want to do, in terms of my heart with the work environment. I'm getting actually this very specific, but for some of you, it may be that there's like a kind of adjustment going on too, where maybe you've had to work from home for quite a bit because of all the things that have happened with the pandemic in the last couple of years. And now there's a call back in, and there's a side of you that feels, oh, this doesn't feel as free as it used to. There's just something about freedom and whether you're doing what you want to do. In well-being, the first thing is we got the Wheel of Fortune. To me, that's a very strong positive sign. So you're physically fine. It's not a problem. But I think you're trying to decide what to do. It's almost about and it is very physical around this because it's crystals, so pentacles cards. what to do sort of like physically for your well-being. And so it feels like an exercise program, a diet or something like that. What this is saying with the 5 of crystals reversed and then with the 3 of crystals reversed is it's hard for you to really stick to a program if you just do it on your own. You need to be with others. So this feels like if it was a nutritional sort of thing you wanted to do, like going to a diet challenge with your friends. If it was something around exercise and going to a gym or being part of a sports class or something like that, that will work better for you, because I feel like you kind of need want the social connection as part of the well-being, as well as the sort of physical development, how you can marry those two things. And I think there's a real chance to do something like that. Over here in spiritual things, you're going to change some of your spiritual approaches, I think. You're a little bit reluctant to do it, but it's like you've got to a particular level spiritually, you've really developed, and it's almost like it can kind of look after itself now. So you're on the lookout for the next spiritual way of doing things. I don't think, again, a bit like the career and finance, I don't think you're going to necessarily shift your focus and make that decision this month, but you're starting to feel again like, is this truly what I want? And it may be being triggered by a relationship. It could even be that for some of you there's a connection between these two, and that part of this issue is that there's a spiritual, the approach that you and a potential significant other or an actual significant other are pursuing are not aligned, and you're really starting to look at, well, can I shift and do something new? Will that give me, what I'm currently getting, because I'm getting a great return on investment in a sense around my spiritual development. It's really working for me. I'm really starting to manifest things. So I just think this whole reading has a bit of a push-pull feeling to me. Push-pull around what the relationships are we're talking about here, and whether you speak or don't speak, and so forth. Push-pull here about what decisions do you make next on the spiritual path. There's definitely a push-pull here about whether you're in the right place. And then here it's sort of like there's a side of you that would like to just kind of do everything yourself around well-being, but you actually need to connect with other people. So let's see what the different cards had. So we'll start firstly with some cards around love and relationships. So I got one from the Love Story Oracle, so around romantic relationships, one from the Gospel of Aradia, which to me is often showing things like community, family, those sorts of things, and then also a relationship card from the Heart Code Oracle, just to get a little bit more information. So remember, we're looking here at something where you're a little bit worried about, coming forward, saying what you think, going into the debate, expressing your feelings, whatever it is. So we have gifts reversed. Okay, so I think you want to make an offering of some, for many of you, if this is about a love relationship, then either you're in a relationship where you feel like some of what you're bringing to the table is not being seen. Again, the person seems to be looking away, and you really want to try and work that out. I don't think, if that's the case, that they're going to walk out the door or anything. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it just might be a different love language. They talk about gifts as being a love language in a way. So there may be something there where what your significant other sort of sees as being how one expresses love might be different to you, and it's trying to like work out the way between that. But for others of you, you may feel like you want to make that connection or an offering to somebody that you're interested in. You're not sure how it's going to be received. Okay, so around family and so forth, the Queen. So this is interesting. I think you are coming into your own. So I think the other issue around relationships for you, and why you're sort of feeling a little bit worried, is that, when we've got the King there as the Chancellor effectively, then it may well be that around friends, family and so forth, you're coming into your own, and it's sort of like, how do you express that without people sort of feeling distant from you? Because there is a sort of issue around the fear of being alone down here. It's sort of like, you could be moving up in your career, in which case you might be thinking, well, what freedom am I going to lose, and is this really in line with my values? But there's something about you're coming very much into who you are, and you're needing to establish who that is, and you're just feeling a little bit worried about the impact of it. But it's important to be authentic. So this is basically saying, it's the feeling I had right from the beginning, which is that you feel like there's sort of debate or a different way of looking at things around one or more relationships, but these relationships are more solid than you think. And you can make this shift into being more your own sovereign and being authentic and so forth. It's not going to be rejected. I just think you feel like the shift is going to do that. So this looks to me like, in fact, will go well for you as you move forward. Now around career, we have a career and money, a secret women's business. You don't have to be a woman. This is just a business deck. And then also a career card from the Heart Code Oracles. So, oh, the Rebel. Yeah, the Rebel. This goes with the Eight of Wands. There's a side of you that does feel disconnected, I think, from what you're doing for a career or what you've studied and you're thinking of doing. You are very much the queen. You are sort of someone who needs to be authentic and so forth, and it flows over into your work, but it may come up as rebellious because I think there might be rules and so forth and a culture that you're around that's not really what you want. Ego trap. Okay, so this talks about, are you too busy to create what you want? So it's sort of like, I do think there's a push-pull here that might be that you are going to have some opportunities to move up the ladder or to progress, if you're in a career, or to start a job that looks very good, like looks fantastic on paper, but whether it's really what you want, whether it's really what's in your heart is the question. And it becomes it's on paper, it looks fantastic. Is that a bit of an ego trap, particularly for someone who is very, very individual? And communication. Okay, so it's suggesting communication is the way to sort that through. It may also be suggesting communication is an area of career that would be a very good one for you, something that you would do very well with. And that might be, I'm getting for some of you, why we're getting this energy of push-pull, because I think maybe what's happening is that Spirit is trying to let you see that in all of these areas in your life, communication is the thing that will sort it out, and so that you understand how good you are at that, because that might give you the freedom. Being in some sort of job where communication is the key thing, it may give you the freedom to be who you are and so forth, and also really excel. Rather than, like, I just feel like you're almost feeling like you're being sort of tunneled into a particular direction. Okay, so for well-being, we have a couple of cards. So wellness from the Heart Code Oracles, inflammation, okay, and tangerine, be spontaneous and have fun. Yeah, have fun with your exercise and so forth. This is why I think it's saying get in with groups of people and so forth around your well-being or diets or anything. Make it fun, make it a bit of a game, do that sort of thing. It's sort of, that will give you the energy to keep on keeping on. But do watch out about overdoing things, inflammation and so forth. So I'm getting very specifically, if you're going to go and, work out at a gym with your friends, make sure you do the proper stretching beforehand. Like, don't hurt your muscles and so forth. And don't overdo it. It's meant to be fun, but keep it in balance. And then around your spiritual development for May 2022, peace. See, that's nice. And Kuan Yin. Okay, yeah. I think it's saying you don't have to make the decision too quickly. There is a decision. I think you're going to pick up another different spiritual practice sometime this year, probably. It may be via connection with a relationship. It may be just because it's the natural evolution and the sort of investment that you've put in. I think that is going to happen. But I think it's saying sit in the energy more in this stage of this part of your life, in the Seven of Crystals, and just let things grow. You've been doing a lot of work spiritually and it is going to flower more and more. You'll eventually get to the point where your own heart tells you it's time to make the decision, but this is saying you don't have to decide now. That Kuan Yin is all about compassion with yourself, kindness with yourself and so forth, and you're meant to be at peace because there's a lot of other stuff going on for you. You've got some real choices about what you want to do career-wise, that I don't think you're going to make the choice in May, but I think that you're going to really start to feel it. I do think there's something in May where you start to sort out things around really close personal relationships. And I do think there's an opportunity to have a bit of fun around, health and well-being and so forth, just not to overdo it. But you don't have to do something in every spot in your life is what Spirit's saying. So, okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use a different tarot deck. And we're going to look at what Spirit wants to say about synthesizing all these energies for you, what advice they have synthesizing the energies. Okay, so it's interesting the first four are reversed. And I think this is because a lot of what's going on in may not be that obvious to other people. Like, I think you're sorting out the relationship stuff. You may, in fact, voice something in that space, I think, but I don't think you will necessarily around career. I think that you can be, as I say, peaceful around spiritual development, and it's more like having fun around your well-being. So I feel like there's a lot of change going on that is under the surface, and a lot of it has to do with letting go of old emotional patterns that didn't work for you. So it all comes back to the heart. That's why we've sort of got the heart kind of triggering a lot of these sort of like in the realm of the heart. There's a sort of a real sense of trying to work out what you can say and be brave and move forward. In the career, it's how do you recalibrate to your heart. It's eventually going to be your heart that expands what you want to do for your spiritual development. It's only really in around the well-being that you're just very focused on the physical and so forth, which makes sense. But there's things you're letting go of that I think were meant to make you understand something, just as I think the decisions around love and relationships will probably flow into career when you realise how good you are at communication. But Spirit is saying it's fine to take your time. This is part of like your spiritual development about be at peace. Things will unfold the way that you want. Knight of Fire reversed. You probably normally want to get on with things. And it's interesting we have inflammation here. I think Spirit is going to actually be protecting you, because I think normally you're more like Knight of Fire and you just sort of go with things. There's the Knight of Wands. You like the action, you like the choice, the rebel energy, very much there. But this with the Tower reverse, and the Tower reverse to me is always take things step by step. There's a lot of change going on, but it doesn't have to be tumultuous. You can really almost do it step by step, decide when is the right time for the particular changes. It's really pulling the brakes on you a bit in May so that you have a considered choice, because you don't want to lose what you have actually already started to build. And this comes out spiritually, but I think more generally, choices that are material need to wait. This is why I think the thing around career in particular needs to wait. Not so much around material in terms of physical well-being. I think you can do that. But I think at the moment, Spirit is saying that you will move out of this more sort of conservative issue that is coming, but that choice is not for May 2022. It's more incrementally learning what this is showing you and processing out the emotional energy that's going to mean that probably I'd say June, July, August, that sort of time period, I think you're going to really start to decide what you want to do around career. And I think maybe later in the year or even next year, you'll start to look at what else to do spiritually. So just don't be in too much of a hurry. Things are working out. Even if you feel at the moment like you feel a bit stuck, things are going to work out. It's just a matter of what you're going to learn about yourself. And I just think the order is these two operate in May. There's something that you start to do around relationships that teaches you a lot about yourself. And there's something about connecting with others and focusing on the physical that actually also teaches you something about your strength, I think. Then it moves later to career, and then even later to the next level spiritually. Okay, so I hope that resonates for you. What we're going to do is we're just going to finish off with a couple of other decks. One is an astrology deck, just to see what astrology energy is around you in May 2022. And then I'm going to use the crystal chakra deck for some affirmations to close out the reading. So astrology energy around you in May 2022. Trine. See, things are going to be easier than you expect, I think, and particularly around relationships. Whatever this is, I think you will sort through that. It will actually turn out easier than you expect, but we will have a look at the planets for that. Trine and opposition. But there'll be other things where you sort of still feel that you're in opposing energy as well. So this is why I get this push-pull. Some things happen very easily. Some things you feel like you're kind of pushing up against something. So we'll see what areas with the planets that are important for that. The 6th house. There's definitely things around your career and service to others, and whether that is, I think, fulfilling a broader service to others around your spiritual development. And Aquarius, yes, because Aquarius is very transpersonal. Aquarius wants the freedom. Aquarius is a bit of an intellectual rebel, and Aquarius wants to make sure that there is a bigger picture to what they do. So I feel like there's something around your career that you'll think about. So let's have a look at the planets. So firstly with Trine. So let's see the energy that is perhaps going to be easier than you expect in this month coming. Venus. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something about love. That kind of fits, because I feel like there's something you're worried about in a relationship that'll be okay. It'll be better than you expect. And Chiron. Yeah, and will be quite healing. Quite healing. Once you so I think that it's basically saying that there has been some sort of battle, whether it's literally been happening or whether you've just been feeling it. There has been something like that, but the healing energy, and it's probably mutually healing between you and whoever this other person is and whatever relationship it is, that will happen a lot easier than you expect. Let's have a look at where the opposition is. And opposition can sometimes be okay. It depends on the planets and really, the area of life that it falls in. So let's just see what we get there. Mercury. So this is about communication. So this, I think, is tilting towards your career. Mercury and Jupiter. See, that's not bad either. See, this is what I say, like oppositions can be difficult because it's almost like the two energies are opposing each other. But these are two benefic sort of energies. And when brought into balance, which opposition can also do, is actually a good thing. There is great expansion from communication. There's definitely something about communication for you. And this is why I think there's something in your personal life that you will have the courage to communicate with, and you're going to, whatever the outcome is, you're going to sort of feel a lot stronger, and you'll realize how good you are at this. And then it's going to be something about that around your career that eventually helps you expand. But at the moment, it's almost like you have to find your voice to expand. This is the key thing. This is why communication is important. Okay, so let's finish off with a couple of crystal chakra cards just to get any final information and affirmations for you for May 2022, pile 1. Solar plexus chakra, so yes, courage, who you are, power in the world. And throat chakra, communication again. I'm not surprised. I would almost have been surprised if we hadn't got a throat chakra, actually. So solar plexus chakra here, golden calcite, it's about leadership and self-worth. So there's something about your career. But I think it's personally, do something personally that gives you more confidence. It says, I know my self-worth and I take the lead of my own life. Yes. And I think gradually you will do it more and more, but I think it starts personally. Then the throat chakra, we have chrysocolla, which is about self-awareness and comfort. It says, I am comfortable with my true self. Yes, the authenticity that we saw there around relationships. And I'm highly aware of what I say and do. Yeah, and I think as you become aware of what you say and do, and you are already, but you're almost too sensitive about it. Once you actually have the kind of courage, as I say, you move forward, you see that you can actually negotiate whatever it is you're looking for much better than you think. And regardless, as I say, of how it plays out, I feel like you learn that, and that then goes into your career in later months. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 1, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. And if you care to share about it in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your readings. So these 3 cards represent love and relationships. This is career and finance. This is general well-being, and this is spiritual development. And it looks like a pretty high-powered month for you on a number of levels, I have to say, particularly spiritually, but in general. So let's go one by one, and then we'll see how they come together. So firstly, around love and relationships, you're coming into a very, very good cycle around love and relationships, whether this is, coming to a really wonderful new love relationship, or whether taking a relationship to the next level, or it may not even be about romantic love. It may be about relationships in general, but you shine very bright around your relationships, but you put a lot of effort into it, and you need to make some choices about, I think, where to put that effort. It looks to me like you're very charismatic. You draw a lot of people to you. And you are a very caring and generous soul. And that's a beautiful, lovely thing. And it's part of your charisma. But as I say, it feels like at the moment you're sort of sorting through relationships to work out, are there some that are just too overbearing and they just are too demanding? You're making decisions in this month around this. And it could be any type of relationship. If it's something like family, which we don't get to sort of necessarily... we can walk away from a family, I guess, but generally speaking, we're kind of connected to our family by blood. And so we don't have the choice to go, well, that person's no longer going to be in my life unless it's really some egregious thing that's happened. Then I guess you make a decision about how to balance those demands. But I think for others, you're going to be realizing how much you draw people to you and trying to make a decision about where that energy is balanced in this period of time. Where is it too much? I just feel like you've got some friends or people like that around you who demand a hell of a lot of you. And maybe I'm getting a little bit envious of you, though they wouldn't necessarily show it, but I think that's part of the demand. It's kind of like, well, if you shine that brightly, then you have to, look after me, is almost the feeling. So there's some decisions around that. So you're in a very strong position, but that very strength is the thing that makes you need to decide where to put your energy. Around career, I think you're thinking about moving somewhere else or starting a different career or something like that. We have the Fool energy, which suggests there's a new cycle. I mean, it could definitely be moving up the ladder, but the fact that we've got the Devil reversed suggests freeing yourself from a work situation, a career situation that you had found too restrictive or too repressive. And with the Three of Cups reversed, it suggests that something didn't really work out around your career that you wanted to work out. It wasn't the right environment to be in, but you're starting to see what that new environment is. And it's quite possible in this month you will move into something new. If there is a new job you can go to or a new business you could start or something like that. There's definitely the sense of the new coming in. And I'm getting for some of you, some of this relationship energy spills over into the career, because I feel as though you might have been in an environment that was full of jealousy, competition, that kind of thing. And again, because you're naturally very charismatic, I think you've realized what's been going on. Therefore, you have the confidence to think about, well, where do I take my talents and my skills and so forth. But there is a sort of sense of like understanding, the kind of the more subterranean sort of dynamics that occur in workplaces and careers and business and so forth. So there's an energy of the new coming through. In both of these, I get the sense. And so I think a lot of it may connect. There may be a lot of your relationships that take a lot of time and energy come somehow connected to your career. There is a real sense of, I need that liberation. I need to sort of really step into who I am and not be at the beck and call of others all the time. Around general well-being, that's interesting too, because we have the Four of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles both reversed with the Three of Wands in the center. So the Three of Wands feels to me like the sort of sun energy here. It's sort of like you have high degrees of energy generally and a real sense of what you want to do, sort of a real sense of what well-being means to you. But there are kind of like almost physical drains again on you. It's sort of like coming across here. So it's kind of connected to relationships and it spills over into various aspects of your life. So I think that you have an opportunity in May to rethink your sort of routines around well-being, about what you do. It could be diet, it could be exercise, it could be just how you use your energy and your time. There's a sense of sort of like unsticking that energy for you and really defining what it is, because you haven't. It's almost as though your own well-being is the last thing you've thought about, partly because you generally have incredible reserves of energy. You're incredibly sort of strong on that level, but everybody can reach their point where they're sort of exhausted. And so I think there's a period of like rethinking that and working out how best to use your energy. Over here, spiritually, you're a bit of a powerhouse, I have to say. But you do want to be more unconventional. I feel as though there's a real sense of destiny and direction coming for you spiritually in the growth that you're going to do this month and going forward. And you do have some connection to sort of what would be the more classic sorts of spiritual doctrine. So whether that's, that you follow a particular process like, Christianity, or not process, but like religion, like Christianity or Islam or something like that, or whether it's that you follow Buddhism. It feels like for you, you do like that sort of sense of the heft of well thought out, and generationally, kind of resilient sort of ways of doing things spiritually. You're kind of someone who does like to know that that's there. I don't think that you're sort of someone who would sort of go off and follow some new age thing just to follow it. I think you really like to see that, because it does help you balance the sort of very high spiritual energy you have. But I think that there is a thing where some of that is also because you maybe doubt your own ability. And I think this is saying don't doubt your own ability. You can take from the established doctrines much, absolutely. But you are more capable of bringing in your own sun energy than you're giving yourself credit for. So I think that there'll be a point at which you go, I can take from these different doctrines, but I also can inject me into it. And there's something about that, and I am able to take that forward, and there's something a bit destined about that. So I think it's you reconciling what is true to you with whatever doctrines you feel that you can follow, or that you feel a sense of sort of faith and reliance on. So let's see what the different oracle cards were for a bit more information on each area for May 2022. So firstly, around relationships, because as I say, there's something, you're making some decisions around relationships, but you're in a very strong position. So we have communication. So yes, you will start to communicate, I think, more about what you want in a relationship. I just feel like people presume you're just fine. And by and large you are, to be honest, but that's not the point. The point is that they're drawing too much from you. So then this is a card that is about friends, community and so forth, and I think a lot of this energy is around this. Secrecy. Okay, so maybe you need to keep your counsel sometimes. Communicate when you feel it's the right thing to do. Keep your secrets when you do. You may also carry a lot of secrets for people. You might be someone that people tell a lot to. And so maybe that might be part of the burden that you need to deal with. Do you want to continue to do that, or do you need to communicate some boundaries around that? And we have bond. Okay, so this suggests there's at least one very strong relationship. It could be a relationship that you haven't told most people about with that. But beyond that, you also have bonds with a lot of these people. They aren't light relationships, even if they are quite demanding. Okay, so over here around career, we have entertainer. Okay. So maybe you are in the entertainment industry and you have been really constrained by a contract that was not working for you, and you want to go off and do something new, or there could be something entertaining about what you do, or you may need to be more entertained by your career. You just might find it really a bit stuck and a bit stale, and that's why you need the energy of the Fool. Stay focused. So focus on getting your highest priorities achieved. So while you're feeling a bit stuck and while you're getting ready for something that's new, you do have to balance between what's enjoyable in your work and what actually gets you your highest priorities. So that's part of the push-pull. This is why you want the new. It's sort of something that's a little bit stultifying, but there are things that you need to achieve at this point in time around your career and finances before you can move into the full energy with confidence. And reduction. So yeah, and it may be that if you are going to do something like that, it may be that it's a reduction in salary. It could be, a reduction in level if you're moving industries or moving that kind of career path. That can sometimes happen. But again, staying focused on what you want and what the Fool is looking for, because the Fool is just the beginning of the journey. I feel like most of you have been very well established in what you do. As I say, you're very charismatic. People really come to you. But I think that you want to do something new, and I think you need to stay focused on what that is, and be ready and prepared financially and other ways. If it reduces things, if you take a sort of step backwards, goes behind a bit before you can move forward again. It's not saying it's a bad thing to do. It's just saying you need to be really clear on what it is that you want. Down here around well-being, as I say, it's sort of like understanding that although you've got enormous reserves of energy, you need to rethink some of the sort of physical demands you're putting on yourself. So let's see a couple of cards for that. So mindful. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. You just need to be aware that you feel like you're indomitable a lot of the time, and a lot of the time you are, but every once in a while the batteries run a bit low. So just be mindful of that. And the colour energy we have here is Pearl. Strengthen your connection with the divine. Well, you're going to be doing that. So there's something about what you do spiritually that will help you with this and help you to be mindful and see how it all comes together, to understand why it is that you have these reserves of energy and how best to focus them. Okay, and then spiritually, as I say, there's something big coming for you there. I think that you will become something in May is really going to make you start to realise how much power you could potentially have. So we've got hope. Yeah, so there's hope. There's a sort of like, if you're worried and you're a little bit sort of unsure of yourself, hope will actually start to push you forward. Oh, and you've got Archangel Gabriel. Okay, so Archangel Gabriel is all about self-expression, creativity, the entertainer side, all of that kind of thing. But Archangel Gabriel is also the archangel of prophecy and will come to you to tell you what the future is, and will show you something about who you are. So if Archangel Gabriel is bringing a message of hope, that will help you deal with whatever sort of insecurities or doubts you have about yourself as you transition to something that is more true to you and what you want to do and so forth. So there's a big sense of an upsurge there, having been underestimating yourself. Okay, so what we want to do now is synthesize it. So I have another tarot deck, which is the 8th House Tarot, and I'm just going to pull some cards about synthesizing this energy for you over May 2022. So what Spirit's advice is bringing all this together, and then we've got a couple of other oracles to further synthesize and close out the reading. So Spirit, what does pile 2 need to really know to make the most of these energies in May 2022? Okay. So what Spirit wants you to know firstly, and I guess it makes sense with the sort of energy across all this, is that you underestimate yourself. You see, you've got the star reversed here, which is hope, and we've got the 7 of fire, which is the 7 of wands reversed. So it's tilting over here again around spirituality. Spirit really wants you to focus on understanding what you have and who you are, that you are much more than you're giving yourself credit for. Other people see it and they drain you a lot of the time. And I think Spirit is trying to say that's one of the issues for you, that you don't even realize necessarily what's happening, but because people are drawn to you because of your charisma, your energy and all that kind of thing, and because you feel like you always have to be on and always there for everybody, it's actually diminishing your sense of self. You feel like you're reacting all the time to people rather than necessarily taking yourself forward. And yet you have this great urge, particularly around your career and to some degree around your spirituality, to move into the new. But you sort of feel always like, am I ready? Am I good enough? Because the other people are almost vampirically depleting you. So Spirit wants you to focus on that and understand, you have these reserves of energy with the Page of Fire that are significant. And if you ground them with the King of Earth, and this is why it's important to be mindful. It's almost like the most important part of this reading is actually the wellness one. It's actually about what are you going to do physically that will be better for you to balance off your energy. And what does that take? Because it might be me time, it might be I need, I can't be at your beck and call all the time because I need to, I'm doing an exercise program, or I need to go to a meditation retreat, once a month or something. There's something about grounding that energy and communicating it with the Page of Air that is the important thing, because once you set some of those boundaries, everything else opens up. You'll be able to go through whatever you need to go through step by step, which is what I think you'll need to do around career. And that's normal. I mean, that's what we normally have to do. We can't normally just jump because it's not like the next job is necessarily there. And if you are shifting industries or shifting the way that you do things or shifting contracts, that takes time. So you need some time to focus on that. You also need some time to focus on the other material things in your life, your well-being, and that will start to sort out the rest. And I think it will then turn that energy around where you start to understand truly who you are on a kind of spiritual level, and that these reserves of energy come from a very strong spiritual presence. Okay, so to finish off, let's have a look at some astrology energy for May 22 for you and 2022 for you, and then also crystal chakra affirmations as a final thing. So firstly, some astrology energy for you in May 2022. Square. So we'll have a look at the planets, but that suggests that there's a tension that you're trying to work out, and that kind of makes sense with the reading anyway. Virgo, this is very much saying, yes, the routines, the patterns, the detail that you put into material things is really key. Conjunction, some things are going to come together really, really well. We'll have a look at the planets for that. And North Node, yeah, and you're heading towards something spiritually that you're meant to do. Like this is all actually understanding who you are, and it's much more than you're giving yourself credit for. So let's have a look at the square and conjunction. So square, as I say, is an aspect of tension in some way. So let's see what planets that is for you. Okay, Venus. Venus and the Sun. Okay, so what you love, and who you are as the Sun. I think one of the reasons actually that people come to you and you have this sort of drain on your energy all the time is you're a very loving person. You feel as though, because I think on one level you know that your sun shines very brightly. You feel like the tension there is love. You need to always be there for other people because almost otherwise maybe you'd be alone or something. So this is trying to bring this into a dynamic aspect to make who you are and how you shine to be part of what draws love to you, rather than how you kind of almost make up for a feeling of shining too bright by being so loving. It's loving yourself and loving what you can do and understanding that so that you get more balance. Let's have a look at the conjunction. Again, conjunctions are normally good, but it does kind of depend on what the planets are as to whether or not there's any challenges associated with it. Bear with me, I can take Jupiter. That's nice. That's promising. Jupiter and Chiron. Okay, and there is a capacity, great capacity to heal. And I think this is also tilting towards the do something physically, like your sort of diet, your nutrition, something like that. I think, because I think in that you claim some of your own time and you claim that you're important. I think that's important. That helps you sort of like the benefic energy of Jupiter to work with Chiron to sort of heal. And it happens quite rapidly, I think, with those two together, because there is a kind of a good fortune energy coming through for you and a healing energy coming through in this month. Okay, so to finish off, let's just draw a couple of crystal chakra cards for any last advice from Spirit for you in May 2022. Third eye chakra, so very much around your spiritual abilities. And crown chakra, yeah. So this is confirming this sort of sense that although I think the action is going to be much more material for you as the reading went through, there's a very strong spiritual development operating underneath. It's like the engine room of it. With the third eye chakra, we have blue lace agate, which is about self-growth and support. So the affirmations for you are, I am supported by the universe and I embrace the process of growth. And yes, I think that's true. I think the universe wants you to hear this because there's so much energy that comes through you. You are supported, but people are taking too much at this point in time. And then the crown chakra with lepidolite is about dissipation and reorganization. I reorganize parts of my life often, and I demand that all negatives dissipate. Yeah, it's reorganization. It's reorganization of your sort of material choices that then leads into different relationships and then makes you sort of understand where you're going spiritually. So I think it is a very powerful month for you and a very healing month for you, and a kind of an aha moment about who you really are. So I hope that this resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share about it in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So this is love and relationships, this is career and finance, this is general well-being, and this is spiritual. And I don't want to sugarcoat this. There are some challenges I'm seeing here for you for May 2022, particularly around love and relationships and general well-being. They're probably connected. There's some good energy around career and finance, and some interesting sort of energy, particularly around channeling and creativity in your spiritual development. But let's cut to the chase on where things are potentially a bit challenging for you. This looks to me, with 3 of Cups reversed, Knight of Cups reversed, and the 8 of Swords, this looks to me like people, if you come to the right reading, you've been dealing with some real difficulties around probably romantic relationships, could be friendships as well, could be one or either. But you feel as though you're kind of stuck in a situation where you either don't know if you can trust an emotional offer that's coming to you, whether there's other parties involved, or whether you would like to make some sort of emotional overture, but you're not sure how it's going to be received, or you are in a very sort of competitive sort of friendship circle or family circle or something where the promise of love is somehow being restricted. Now, the good news, in a way, around this is that because it's the 8 of Swords is sort of like an idea that you have that is not ever as bad as it appears, because it's always like all the swords are around her. She could actually stand up and walk away. She could actually pull one of the swords out, cut her bonds free and walk away. So it's often that we have decided something is very restrictive or difficult rather than actually being the case. But as a result, at the very least, you'll sort of wish to sort of connect emotionally to people and maybe to sort of enjoy relationships is being subdued on some level. So we will look with the oracle cards to see if we can get some more information about this. But I think that Spirit is saying there's hopefully a kind of an aha moment that could come from understanding that this is either that you're putting your emotional energy where it's not going to work for you, so that you then move and look where it will, or that some of the restrictions that you feel and the kind of suppressed energy that you feel is more your response to something rather than the truth. But we will see. And I think it's affecting well-being because we've got the 3 of Swords reversed. Maybe you broke up with someone and you haven't really got over it. I mean, or you've been separated from friends or family or something like that, because this is where there's pain, and it's pain that will eventually start to recede, which is good, but it's still kind of there. It's still lingering. So I feel if it is about a breakup or something, it wasn't like yesterday. It's more like something that's been been having an effect on your attitude to love and your feeling about yourself and your well-being for some period of time. Now, the good news is, a bit like I feel like with the Eight of Swords, you could sort of have the aha moment and kind of come out of that energy. The Three of Swords being reversed suggests that there is that capacity to do that. But your mind is very, very strong with the King of Swords here. I think this is the thing. You have to be convinced with your mind to know that this is the case. You have to know it's the case, as opposed to just sort of experience it, want it, desire it, or whatever. And as a result, you're feeling kind of alone. You're feeling like maybe not even anybody really understands. You're not really sure who you can talk to. There might be something about the relationship that is such that you feel like people wouldn't even get it, or would think that it was all in your head or something. And so you're feeling kind of depleted physically. You're feeling it's sort of affecting you on that sort of level. So again, your mind, however, being that strong, is the key to unlocking it as well. Once you decide to shift something, it shifts very quickly. And one of the ways that you can see this is that over here in your career, there's something very new coming in. You're either starting a new job, or you have recently, or there's a new business idea, or there's a new career opportunity, and you move very, very quickly. Even though it looks like it's incremental, you move very, very quickly towards, the new business plan, to consolidation and so forth. You know the steps. This is what this seems to be saying. With the Tower reversed, that is always about change. And, Tower can be great anyway. People worry about the Tower, but I actually think it's usually a very necessary energy. This means that there are changes going on around you in your career and finance sort of area that are necessary, but you have control over them. They go at a time frame that works for you, because you're very, very clever about this stuff. You know what you do. So you're using your energy around your mind, your sharp mind, to go from an opportunity through to something really starting to pay off very quickly, quicker than most would do. And I think this is coming up here to say, number one, there is going to be something like that coming up in May 2022. There's a sort of an opportunity or a new idea or a new growth potential that you'll, as I say, pick up and move with very efficiently. And I think Spirit is wanting to say you could do the same thing emotionally. You just, for some reason, you don't do that emotionally. You rate yourself and know, and you've had experience to show that you can, around career. It's almost like you feel like, well, yeah, I'm a career person. I'm not really going to be about relationship. I get career. I don't get all this relationship business. But it's the same mind. And the same mind can fix up those sort of energies as well too. And a highly creative energy coming through you, because we've got 3 Wands cards here around spiritual development. With the Page of Wands, you've done some spiritual development work in some form. Very, very unique, I think, very much true to you, very creative. I think you probably channel energy. You may well be sort of someone who can do this sort of thing, or, you might write or paint or something like that, and it's kind of channeled energy coming through. And you're very well developed with it, and you know how to deal with when there's sort of like blockages. You can kind of release those very, very easily. The only thing is that I think you're kind of aware of your power, but you're a little bit worried about using it. You think that it might upset the apple cart, and it's possible that that's even been something like maybe the energy and power you had spiritually on some level you feel might have been something that caused the problem emotionally, because for all that you really do know how to deal with differences of opinion, you're very clear, you have very strong gifts in this space, you're all very careful about it, you're not showing it. I'm getting too that you may manifest within your career. You may actually know and very consciously do that, but you don't tell people. So that's sort of interesting. Let's have a look at what other information about each of these areas the oracles can tell us about. So firstly, around love and relationship, which does look like it's the main challenge flowing into how your well-being is going. So memories, yeah, there's something from the past, something that you haven't yet fully let go of. This card is from a deck that is about broader things to me than just love. It's about, like community and family and all that kind of thing. So we've got truth. Yeah, so there's some truth. Maybe it was a very difficult breakup where things came to the surface that were very shocking. But equally, it's interesting that we have truth kind of like connecting. We have memories connecting to not letting go of something. And here we've got truth connecting to the King of Swords. Truth is very important to you. You're a very, very honest person. And this might be why sometimes you have to kind of hide some of your power, because not everybody else is as capable of looking at that. But as I say, when you turn that mind against yourself, even if it's done unconsciously, it's just as powerful as when you turn it in the direction that is successful for you. And we also have consequences. Yeah. There's some sort of relationship, and it doesn't have to have been, like a romantic one. It could be, family or something, but there's something where you felt there were consequences for being truthful, being who you really were. It cost you something. This is also why, as I say, you kind of hide a bit of your spiritual power, under a bushel, so to speak. Over here around career, we have voice. So yeah, you raise your voice in your career. You're very confident, and you should be. And you may well do something around career. Then your opportunity could have something to do with you speaking your truth, you having a voice, you being in some sort of communication type of field. We have walk forward with courage, strength, and ease. Yeah, you know what you're doing. You can deal with tower energy. You can deal with 3 or 4 tower issues coming up in your career before breakfast. Frankly, you're very, very able to sort of move forward. And authentic, yeah, because you're the real deal. So this, I think I think Spirit here wants you to know, like what you do here, you can do elsewhere. It's just something really knocked your confidence around relationships, I think. Let's have a look at a couple of cards for well-being. Hydrate. So that's probably just Spirit saying, make sure that you're sort of getting the right nourishment and so forth. You may literally not be with that kind of 5 of coins there. And colour energy, brown, establish boundaries. I think it's almost boundaries within yourself. I mean, there could be some relationships and so forth that are very demanding of you, but I feel like it's really the boundaries between the past and the present, and understanding who you really are and how powerful you could be, boundaries within yourself, so you're not your inner critic. You make the King of Swords work for you to help your sort of attitudes and sense of self, which will then permeate into the relationship area. Okay, it's going to be very interesting with this amount of kind of channeling pure creative energy around you spiritually, what we've got around spiritual energy for you. Generosity. Okay, so maybe one of the things that has been an issue for you is that because you've had all that energy and that power and so forth coming through, and fire is very warm, you were very warm, maybe you were very shocked with a relationship where that became, that was not seen, but it's definitely there. And I think also hiding some of who you are is an act of generosity. I think that it's an act of kindness. So say you could deal with any of the sort of, like disputes or whatever, but I think there's also that you don't want to overwhelm people. And we've got the goddess Lakshmi, which is about prosperity, beauty and fortune. Yeah, there's something about your creative energy that comes through there that you're going to be able to manifest. I do think you manifested it into your career, but there's something very creative as well coming through. And at the right time, you will be able to come out and show that. But I think for the moment, your kind of generosity and your kindness is not to overwhelm people, but you equally don't overwhelm yourself. Okay, so we're going to use a different tarot, the 8th House Tarot, to ask Spirit just to give us some energy to bring all this together, to sort of say, what would be a synthesis of advice given these sort of energies across the different areas of your life. Okay. Oh, the Tower again. Wow, okay. I'm going to hear again, just remind myself that's right. Okay. So this came up for another, there might be some of you that came up to 2, and there is some similarities actually, if that's the case. One of the things that Spirit wants you to do is understand your capacity to deal with change. Something big that happened to you, and I think it was around a relationship, rocked some of that energy and rocked your sort of belief in self. And I think it was around love. But remember, it's tilting to the fact that we have the Tower reversed in career. It's saying this is why Spirit's really kind of doubling down on your career is going to go very, very well, in May and going forward. Remember that. Remember how good you are at dealing with those big things when you put your mind to it, as opposed to putting your mind against yourself. You are very pragmatic about things in the material world. There is almost like a level of pragmatism that needs to come to the relationship energy as well. Freeing yourself from the things of the past with the Capricorn energy, with the devil, with the memories, with what didn't work and so forth, and with the feeling that like somehow life did not work out for you. You're a bit stuck in this energy, and yet you do so well here, and you're so strong here. So I think that Spirit is just saying, remember this. I think the Tower has come up here. I don't think it's saying that a major Tower event is going to happen. I think it's these two are connected. I think it is saying that your capacity to deal with change is greater than you think. This is what you need to realize, because at the moment it feels like you're kind of stuck in a loop around here where it's like, this didn't work out, this was painful, whatever it was, whatever the relationship was. And as a result, you feel like that's defined you. Whereas over here, there's a very different definition of who you are. This is why it's saying establish boundaries. It's the boundaries within yourself. It's understanding that there are ways that you can succeed in all of them. And the unifying force of all of it is this really powerful mind. Okay, so let's have a look to finish off with some astrology energy for you for May 2022. And then we're going to have a couple of crystal chakra cards as final affirmations. So astrology energy. Cancer. That's protective. You're being protective. So you're not around your career, and even really around, you protect others around your spiritual energy, but you are very confident there. It's like the protective instincts are coming out around relationships. Waxing gibbous, clarifying direction and intention. Yeah, I think it's just a clarification here. I think you're doing it. You naturally do it around your career. Conjunction, we'll have a look at what the planets are around that. And 7th house. So there is the possibility of a true relationship coming. I think that's probably a little bit further out than May because of this energy, but I think this is why Spirit wants to clear the decks and get you feeling more at home in yourself and having the same confidence around relationship as you do around the rest, because then you can start to bring in something. So let's have a look at what the conjunction is. Let's see what planets are involved. The sun, so who you are in the world and your power, and you have a lot of sun energy, a lot of fire energy. You may have fire strong in your chart. Sorry, it can take a little while to get to a planet. Sun and Jupiter. So you're meant to be incredibly successful and lucky. And when you're on your right life path and you're doing what you manifest really easily, you bring this energy through creatively. This same energy, this ability that you have over here, spiritually and creative, you just need to bring it into belief in yourself, because the mind works. I think it's because relationship energy is so personal and so immediate, and it's where you want to protect. That you're not doing that over here. But this is saying your life path is about expansion, luck, and generosity, and all of those sort of things. And it's just allowing that in so that the right relationship can come in. Okay, or relationships, as I say, it doesn't have to be, 7th house doesn't have to be love relationships. It could be, if this is more around friendships and family, you can resolve some of that or put the boundaries that you need in so that you're not feeling constantly that you're not winning in that space when you're winning everywhere else, because you have the capacity to win everywhere, I think. Okay, so let's just get a couple of crystal chakra cards to finish the reading off for you. So we have the root chakra. It's interesting that falling where Cancer is. This is like who you are at the core. The root chakra, yeah, who you are at the core. There's a real focus on this. And understanding who you are at the core where you're really confident, and who you are at the core where you aren't confident, and why not be confident in both. So let's have a look at the root chakra. Here we have ruby, spontaneity and motivation. I feel motivated to achieve my goals, and I allow myself to be spontaneous. And yes, you can do that over in your career and around your creative and spiritual energy. Allow a similar thing here. Don't get caught in this infinite loop. Then this one is garnet, courage and hope. I hope for the best in every situation, and I have the courage to evolve. Yeah, it's about bringing the hope over here. The hope that you naturally do in this sort of side of your life over into your relationships and how you feel about yourself. Bring that same energy. That's all you need to do, and then you unlock this Sun-Jupiter conjunction. So I hope that is helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share about it in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, part 4, to your reading. So this is love and relationships, this is career and finance, this is general well-being, and this is spiritual development, spiritual well-being, and so forth. There's actually a couple of things that are directly the same, even though it's different tarot decks, to another reading in these spaces. So if you did go to more than one and you've gone to that other reading, then you'll know, because you'll remember. So it's interesting. There may be some correlation between it, but there is a different message here. So it may be that it sort of depends upon which one really aligns for you, if that's the case. What I will say is that I feel like there's a lot of opportunity coming up, but there's equally, because of that, some sort of advice about, balancing your energy and all that kind of thing. And it looks like there's also some real shifts around spiritual energy, which almost seems a bit separate, but I'll get to that. Around love and relationships, there's a number of ways that you could read this. One is that there could be a relationship with someone who it's very long standing, potentially even like a childhood sweetheart, with the Six of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles. Feels very solid, feels very dependable, feels, fits maybe an ideal of love that you've always had, all of that kind of thing. But there is a little bit of a sense of where is it going? Is it going to develop in the way that I want? So it could be quite early in the relationship, or it could be that it's settled into a pattern and you're not sure how to take it to the next level. So that's one way of reading it. There could be that sort of energy. Feels like quite a good relationship, just a little bit without direction for some reason. If it's not a love relationship, or it's not sort of something new, it may be that you are trying to think about the relationships that you have in light of what your career and your service to others is. And it's interesting because there's sort of like new opportunities around that. So these two areas could be connecting for some of you. But certainly there's a kind of a nostalgic feeling about love and relationships, a very strong connection to family. I think you're someone who is very strongly connected to your family, but maybe you're different to your family. Like maybe your direction is very different and you're loyal, but you are different in some way. So you may be trying to reconcile those sorts of energies. If it's around friendships, you may be at a stage in your life, you might be relatively young and you might be about to sort of embark on a career or something, having, done sort of college or university or something like that. And so you're sort of aware that you're going to be parting company with some of the people who've been very much part of your life because of the new path you go on. But so it's sort of like it's either kind of moving on from the past and not being entirely sure what that means for relationships going forward, or it may be a relationship, I say, of some long standing and that has a lot of really good energy around it, but it's sort of a bit directionless. So that's the kind of feeling around there. It's sort of, there's an anchoring to the past, there's a real sense of loyalty, commitment, all of that kind of thing, but there's like a lack of direction. It's almost like, what do I do next around one or more relationships? Around career, there's definitely something new coming in with the Ace of Pentacles. That's a blessing, new career opportunity, new job, new business, new money coming in for something, new idea that you're going to build. The only thing is, it looks a little bit like, not literally a deal with the devil, but the fact that we've got the Four of Cups and the Devil card here, that could either mean it's in a very large, conventional corporate organization or something like that, and it could be very sort of Capricornian, very much the powers of the world. Lots of financial potential, maybe even working in something like financial services or something like that. But with the Four of Cups, you kind of see the promise of what you're doing, but you're not necessarily emotionally connected to it. So it's funny, you're emotionally connected to relationships, but you're not sure where they're going. And then you're pretty sure where you're going with your career, but you're not necessarily emotionally connected to it. So there's just an interesting kind of push-pull dynamic operating there. There's a similar sort of push-pull down here around general well-being, in as much as there's some pain that you're still processing, whether it was around career, whether it was around relationships, could have been around anything. You are finally doing that with the Three of Swords reversed, but it wasn't simple. So there's something that affected you. You may literally have, in the last few months, have had surgery and you're getting over it. That's possible with the Three of Swords, or have had some sort of health scare. You are coming out of that because ultimately you have really good health. You have a very strong constitution, but it's drained your energy. So for some of you, it may literally have been some sort of health issue you've had to deal with. The good news is you're coming out of it, but you're still quite tired. So Spirit is sort of saying, go easy on yourself. Don't take on more burdens than you have. And if this is going to be, like if you've had health issues you're dealing with and then now you're dealing with stuff around a new career, you need to calibrate that. You need to make sure the boundaries are right so that you actually get your energy back and so forth. But ultimately, it's very good health. That's there. And if you had to do interventions, the worst of that is over. It's just that you're tired by the looks of things. And if it's around exercise, then you're very robust, but you're overdoing it and maybe causing yourself sort of mental or muscular pain. Around spirituality, I think you're going to shift what you do spiritually. I think that there's something, maybe you've been in a spiritual group around spiritual people and it's not been what it appeared. Hangman suggests you've sort of delayed making this decision, but I think you're really starting to think there's something inauthentic around some of the spiritual practice that you're doing. It's not really connecting to your heart. And I think there's like competition, maybe some spiritual narcissism and so forth around you. So you may not do it with the Hanged Man upright in May, but I think you're really starting to see that. And I think there's going to be, over the next few months, some very big changes around what you do in terms of your spiritual practice. Okay, so let's see what else we get from the oracles that were under the card that brought you here. So firstly, around love and relationships. We have security. Yeah, and there is security. Like there's security around this. That's not the problem with the Knight of Pentacles, whether it's a love relationship, friendships or whatever. And security is important to you. And you also like to make other people feel secure. It's just whatever this thing is around the Six of Swords reverse, it's like what's the direction of it that's the issue. Now this deck with this card is about all types of relationships. It's more around friends, family probably than love relationships, but it can touch on all. Sisterhood. Okay, it's got something to do with family then maybe. Maybe you know that you're going to start going in a direction that separates from family and what they think, and you love the security of that, and you really did have that sort of sense of that, but you're going in a different direction. And if this is about friendship, again, I said for some of you it might be that you're quite young and you're starting to sort of move into things where you separate out to some degree, but there was a great deal of security in these relationships. And validation, they were very validating. And that may be part of the issue because like where you have security, you have sisterhood and you have validation, you don't want to move on, but there is, and it doesn't mean you're breaking up from a lover or breaking up from your friends really, but it's just that there's a parting of the ways on one level or another. It feels less like breaking up from a relationship, like a love relationship, than it does from separating from certain sort of friendship circles and so forth. More because of other opportunities, I think, career and otherwise. So it's not because there was anything bad associated with it, but there's almost a rite of passage feeling around the love and relationships for you. Over here with career, we've got say yes to things you think you can't do. So this may be part of it. The Four of Cups here might actually am I biting off more than I can chew? But this is saying, no, you're not. You can actually do it. So say yes to there's something, even if it's not 100% where you want to be in the long term, there's something about this that will take you somewhere. So it's a good energy. And networking, it's time to use your networking skills and so forth. So the capacity you had to build really brilliant relationships, you need to be bringing that more and more into your career because it's a bigger frame for you. It's a bigger platform for you in some way. And success, success is definitely coming. So it's saying that Ace of Pentacles is definitely a sort of sense of the success coming in, the blessing around your career. So that's all good. I just feel maybe it means that you're shifting away from certain groups of people that you were around and so forth. Okay, so here around well-being, as I say, because the main thing here is getting over something that has been very tiring and physically stressful probably, but realising that you do have this strength. We have nurture. Yeah, so just nurture yourself. That's all that's really necessary at this point. And picking up the 10 of Pentacles there. And Sapphire, regenerate your body. Yeah, there's something. Like it's either just been the emotional sort of stuff around this and the changes in your life and the kind of new demands, or as I say, for some of you it may have been a health issue, but really nurturing and regenerating your body, that's all very positive, but it is giving yourself that time. Now the interesting one I think over here is around what's going on spiritually. So let's see what we get here. Appreciation and Archangel Raguel, which is about relationship healing and calm and harmony. So I think one of the things, because I think for you spiritually, as I say, that many of you, there's something competitive, there's something not quite right about some of the spiritual sort of people you've been dealing with, the spiritual sort of approaches. And I think you're going to know it by whether or not where you're being appreciated and where things feel healing. And if they don't, you will make the decision to move on. So it might be just that you have a suspicion about this at the moment. And so you reach out and you find in actual fact that you can heal those and there is actual mutual appreciation. But if there isn't, I think for many of you, you're going to sort of move into different spiritual practices, different spiritual groups. Okay. So for each of these readings, I'm also using a another tarot deck, so it's one that I've used across all the readings, the 8th House Tarot, as a way to synthesize this, because we've been looking at it in each area and to some degree how they connect. But what we want to ask here from Spirit is the sort of synthesizing of all these areas for May 2022 and for their advice for you in this period of time. Okay, so this is pretty clear. It's picking up some of the key messages here. Firstly, the Hierophant reverse has got something to do with the spiritual thing. There's something unconventional. Either you're meant to go into something more unconventional spiritually, or you're going to think there's something unconventional or not quite right around spiritual things, around doctrine and so forth. So just let that emerge. I don't think it's a problem particularly. I just think you need to emerge and assess it and make a decision about whether it's still something that you can appreciate and get healing from, or whether it's something you move on from. It's interesting that we have the 6 of water or 6 of cups reversed, and because we have the 6 of cups here. I think this is sort of showing, particularly because we then move into things that are really around career, that for many of you, it's something about who you're going to become in the world, and it's significant. You're going to do very, very well materially. Whatever you start to lay the foundations for in May 2022 are really going to be a true, return on investment for you. You're going to be very successful. But I think it is going to separate you from some things in your past in some way. And it's working out what that looks like. Is there a way to keep them connected in some way, or is it really a rite of passage sort of energy? But you're moving into a very materially growth period. And it does require you to let go of some old emotional patterns and so forth. It's also saying do not worry too much about your health. Just nourish yourself, regenerate your body, you're fine. Like you say, if there have been health scares, I mean, obviously if there's a health scare and you haven't had a diagnosis, don't just go buy a tarot reading, go and get some medical advice. I'm not a doctor. But I am saying if you know what that is and you've been through it, it feels like it's been something that you now just need to kind of nourish your body and regenerate and all that kind of thing. It's a good sign overall, but if there is any issue that's niggling at you, go and get it checked out. I think you'll be happy with the result, but nevertheless, either way, it looks like it works out. So even if you do have to have an operation or something, it looks promising, but get the advice. Never go buy a tarot reading on its own around health. But for most people, I feel this is either something that you've already been through and you're now recovering from, or it's not an issue about an actual physical ailment. It's about understanding how much energy you're going to put into something and making sure you look after yourself physically, given that. Okay, so to close out the reading, I want to look firstly at some astrology for May 2022 for you, and then we'll use the Crystal Chakra deck for some affirmations to close it out. So firstly, the astrology energy for you. Second house, so you're very much a focus on money making, career, what you value and so forth. Fire, all the sort of energy, sort of like and moving forward in your ambitions and so forth. The moon, so there are some emotional issues that you're sorting through with doing this, and it also sometimes with the moon it can be things can come to the surface that you still understand, and that High Priestess card connects to there. It feels to me like there might be some secrets that come out for you in this period of time that help you make this decision about whether you're doing the right thing in terms of psychic stuff. And then we get Neptune. So yeah, there's definitely something about things coming to the surface for you around spiritual belief. And so you can make the decision about whether or not this is right for you or not. But huge amount of energy around making money, establishing yourself, your possessions and so forth in the world in this period of time. Okay, last but not least, let's just get a couple of chakra cards for you. Heart chakra and solar plexus. So loving what you do and who you are in the world is part of this. The heart chakra has green aventurine, prosperity and transmutation. I transmute lower vibrational energies into higher ones. So that sort of sense of regret or being a bit lost, I think, because this is about prosperity, it's connecting to the career. You can make this a positive thing for you. And I attract prosperity into my life by believing I deserve it. And you do, and you will. So solar plexus chakra, we have sunshine, aura quartz, rejuvenation and expansion. So rejuvenation, if you have felt under the weather, you're I think, going to feel better. I choose to expand my perspective, and that may even be around spirituality with the hangman there. And I take time to rejuvenate my energy. Yes, you definitely need to do that. You are starting, May 2022 is bringing in the new, I think, around your career. And it's probably only the beginnings of it, but there is a promise here that you will go very, very far. So Spirit is saying you do need to reconcile what that means for you in relationships. You need to make sure that you look after your health, because it's going to be a lot of energy required of you as you do this, and you need to make sure that you feel comfortable about your spiritual approach and the people that you're with. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope it's helpful as well for May 2022 and that you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.